What is going on, vlog channel? We are back with another video. I am kind of having like nostalgia, weird, like kind of a thing today. I'm in Holton, Kansas, which I haven't been for a long time to actually wait for somebody. So I'm here today, have a client up here. So I'm just actually out walking around, and the reason why the whole nostalgia thing is I actually used to live here when I was 12 and 13. And crazy thing is I've been here. I actually live right over there. I'll show you in a minute. None of this was here back then, though. But I'm 34 now, so that was 21 years ago. And none of this stuff existed 21 years ago. So I thought, well, I'll make a little vlog because this is kind of cool. You know, you come back after 21 years, you haven't been somewhere, and everything's changed so much. And I remember as I was a kid, all of these places that are now different, right? And so if we turn the camera around here, pardon the shoddy camera work, but there's a creek down there, which I'll show you in a minute. But I don't know if I can zoom in or not without the camera messing up, but I will. Those apartment buildings over there, there's one, and I'll show you later. But when I was 12 years old, we lived in that far apartment building on the other side over there. And this little field right here, van's over there, this was a soccer field. And that was all that was there. And there used to be two right over there behind the van. There used to be two little porta potties. And that was all that was here. None of this other stuff was here. And so I come back, and apparently there's like a whole thing. There's a dog park over there, that red building. And like behind it, there's like a garden right here. There used to be a big tube over there that they taken out and fixed. There's this creek here, and I'll tell you about the creek in a second. But you used to be able to just like come off the road here. Like this parking lot was here, but it was half the size, right? And that field over there, that's all nicely mowed where the dog park is now, used to just be like an actual field, like an actual farm field. And this was all private property other than the city soccer field, which was just here. And the goals used to run the other way. I think there was a goal here and one on that end, and then there was a smaller field over here for like the little kids. But now they run the other way, like an actual like long distance soccer field. Not this concrete that I'm walking on. None of this existed. This was all just grown up grass. Like I remember, because we used to play hide and seek over here. Me and the kids at the apartment complex, we would come over here and play. There was no toys over here either. It was just all empty. And we would come through here and we would play in the field. We would ride our bikes in the parking lot, and we would play hide and seek in the field. And then we would go down in the creek and go swimming and play in the creek. And our parents used to get mad at us. Well, my parents, a couple of the kids I played with, their parents didn't really care what they did. But there was my parents and our friend, my mom's friend and her kids, and I was 13. Her son was 9. And then there was a girl that was 12. And then there was a 9-year-old girl. And then she had a bunch of brothers and sisters. And then my brothers and sisters were too young. My brother was like a baby. I was 13. My brother and my sister both were like, well, they were a couple years old because my sister ended up walking off with one of the little boys that lived in the apartment complex, ended up downtown. But anyway, yeah, this was all just different. This whole thing over here, like that house wasn't there. It's trying to focus on the bottle. That house wasn't there. Those apartments over there were not there. The red building wasn't there. This was all grown up, just like a field. And I remember this because one of the people that lived in the apartment complex, his name was actually Shane too. He had a big Bronco, and they would go to Walmart, which is kind of on the other side of those trees over there. And they would get him and his wife and my mom and my stepdad would get to drinking and having. We would just party they would just party on the weekends. And they actually took his Bronco and drove across the field to get to Walmart. And they ended up in the used to be a big creek thing there. And they ended up hitting it and almost rolling the Bronco. But this used to be like, you could walk down, like it's all grown up now, but like there's a creek down there. And you could walk, we'd walk down here and we'd get in the creek and then we'd go all the way around and play in the creek over here in the trees, both directions. And we would get in trouble because we would come home and we'd be soaking wet and we'd have all our clothes on, or our school clothes on or whatever. And we would come home soaking wet up, and we would get yelled at because we were playing in the creek. And they didn't want us in the creek because the snakes and stuff, and they couldn't see us. And if one of us got hurt, they would know. And, back in the day when you were, 9 to 13 years old or 14 years old, your parents do. I mean, we're talking like, well, it's 2023 right now, right? And so we're talking, 2001, 2001. So we're talking like, 23 years ago. And so maybe 2002. So we're talking, early 2000s. And we used to just run everywhere. Parents didn't care that we used to just run all over the place because it wasn't the parents didn't care. And this is a small town. It's Holton, Kansas, just in case y'all didn't know. And we're, several miles from, we're about, 30 minutes from Topeka. And the only thing between here and Topeka is basically a casino. And put it back in wide angle so I can turn it around here and hold it up so you can see me. But yeah, it was just, we just used to have fun out here. This used to be like what we did. And we would come down here and we'd go down in the creek. Like I said, we'd walk all the way around and we would party. Well, not really party. We were kids. And we'd be gone for hours. It was one of those, you get home from school at 3:30 in the afternoon and you call your friend that lived down the street or go down there because no one had cell phones then, early 2000s, right? No kids had cell phones in early 2000s. My screen's dirt, my hands are dirty. But no kids had cell phones early 2000s, right? So then we had landlines even. And so we would holler at our friends or we'd have our moms call our friends' moms or go down there and knock on the door. You'd actually go knock on people's doors back then, which is crazy. Y'all wouldn't know nothing about that now. But we would go down and knock on the door and they would say, hey, you ready? Let's go down to the park or let's go down to the soccer fields and get your bike. And we'd all jump on our bikes. And the apartment complex, which like I said, I'll show you in a minute. It actually had like speed bumps in the little they weren't real speed bumps, like they were plastic that they bolted to the ground basically. See, this creek wasn't all grown up like this back in the day. This is like the small off part of it, and then there's another like big part of it. You can see down here it forks off. But we used to come down here and play in the creek, and you know, we never did anything bad. We never got in trouble, and that's kind of like why we were able to do this. I remember one time, similar situation. See the water down there, but this is all wide open, you know. And this is why we weren't allergic to anything back in the day, by the way. Like, I'm not allergic to poison ivy or poison oak because I literally spent my entire childhood running through it. Basically, you know, like we played in this situation for a long time. And we, you know, we kind of like enjoyed the outdoors back then kind of more than we do now. Just because, like, you know, you didn't have all the fancy, like I had PlayStations, don't get me wrong. Like I actually had a PlayStation 2 back then, and everybody else had a PlayStation 1. It was like right when PlayStation 2 come out. I've told you all on the gaming channel several times, you watch that. It's like, you know, when I was younger, we didn't want for much, so we kind of, like when a gaming system come out, we would get it, and then like it would be like the new one, and then so everybody would like, I say like a lot, I'm sorry, it's weird, I talk like I'm from 2000s too, but whatever. All my friends would want to come down to my house and play PlayStation because we had all the newer ones, right? And so we would go, like when one would come out, like we had a Nintendo 64, and then when we found out that PlayStation existed back in the day, everybody wanted a PlayStation 1. So Nintendo 64 and then PlayStation 1 come out, and it was a disc-based, and it was like supposed to be all 3D and really cool. So everybody goes and buys a PlayStation 1. And so we bought a PlayStation 1. And they were like, oh, this is really cool. So then the PlayStation 2 come out. And so we bought a PlayStation 2. And PlayStation 2 come out, I don't know, like early 2000s, right? And we had a PlayStation. Well, I think I had a regular PlayStation over here because it was probably too early because it was like 2001, 2002. You know, when we lived here. If the PlayStation 2 was out then, I had one, and if it wasn't, I didn't. But everybody would, like, if we weren't hanging out at the soccer field here, which I'm walking across right now, as you can tell, I was playing PlayStation, and all the kids would come to my house because I had the new PlayStation, and we would play. And I remember it had to be PlayStation 1 because I remember I had the 2-disc collector's edition of Gran Turismo 2, a PlayStation exclusive. And we would play that game. We wore that game out. Like to the point where I had to run to Walmart one time and buy a second copy of it because we wore that game out. It just quit working. And I gotta switch hands. This phone is not that heavy, but when you walk around with it for 20 minutes and talk on it, it's heavy. But yeah, we would play this game. And now I don't know that I'm over here where you can really see the offices, but like all these apartments they didn't look like this when I lived here. They were all one color. See, this little soccer field wasn't here either. Like I said, there was 2 porta potties right here right about where this little case is. And that was all that was here back then. And oh, this is the charity box. Okay. Yeah. box, little charity box. Different things in there for people that need it. This sign wasn't here. Adopt a sport, Holton, or adopt a spot, Holton, Kansas. 2018. Yeah, none of this stuff existed back then. I ain't even old, man. Yeah, 34 is not old, right? That sign for the donors for the park and the landowners for the park, and these toys over here. I'll get down there close to them. They weren't there. None of this stuff. We didn't have toys down here back then. We were just playing in the field. Like, we didn't have nothing. We'd bring our bikes down here, and we would just like run all over the place. Like, this parking lot wasn't even this big back then. It was like half the size. It like stopped right here. And all that wasn't there, I don't think. And we would just ride our bikes all over the place. Me and my guy friends, it's got like loose gravel on it, and we would come over here and see, because it's just like pack rock, tar pack rock, and we would come over here and see if we could spin the tires on our bikes with our leg muscles, push down real hard and see if we could spin the tires in the loose gravel. And then we all had pegs on our bikes, because that was the thing back then, early BMX bike stuff. And I had a really nice one. I had like one of the nicer ones, and everybody was jealous, kind of. But it was a really nice, like all chrome Mongoose before they like sold out to like Walmart, and it was garbage. And it had pegs front and back, and we would ride around on our pegs. And like I said, there's a zoom in here. See if we can go in another one here. But that building, the far building, not this one, but the one beside it, back there, that was the one we lived in. And it was apartment A on the bottom floor. First apartment as you walk in, bottom floor. And we would go, and everybody would, 3-bedroom, I think it was 3 bedrooms. And everybody would run, come in our room, my room, and then we'd sit and play PlayStation all day. And then we would go and do, like, we'd get done playing PlayStation, and then my mom or whoever would say, hey, go outside. And so then we would come down here and ride around. But if you give me a minute, other than this toy over here that I was going to show you, where'd it go? There you go. Right there. All that stuff wasn't there either. But if you give me a couple of seconds, I'll hop in the van and we'll drive across town, and I'll show you the middle school where I went to school at. So we'll be back in a minute. So I come back here real quick. I was going to show you a closer up of doing this. There'll be a little snippet in here. These apartments here, or these duplexes, I guess, as they technically are. Sorry about the beeping. I'll stop putting my seatbelt on so it'll shut up. But there we go. There we go. I wasn't going very far, so I didn't worry about it. But these apartments here, this little dead-end road here, none of this existed. This was just empty fields. Empty fields, empty fields, empty fields. This house wasn't here on the corner. Wasn't here. That one wasn't there. None of this was here. It's just these. And they do still have the speed bumps that I was talking about. And they're falling apart now. But it's like they're actual speed bumps. I thought they were plastic things that you put in, but they are not. But they're actually speed bumps. So this apartment right there on the edge, where those flowers are at, the flowers right there, that's the one I lived in. And the bike rack. And then this wasn't there back then either. We did have a little jungle gym, but it was not very good. And so we lived in the corner one, and then my friend that I was talking about that was 9, he lived in 200, which is those ones over there. And we had another friend that lived in this one over here too. And then the girl and her brothers and all of them lived in the one behind me. And then we had another girl that lived, she was like 10 or 11, and she lived across the hall. But these speed bumps, man, we used to take these, and like I said, we had our pegs on our bikes. And they're pretty aggressive speed bumps. But we used to jump over them with our bikes. And it wasn't called Southview Apartments when I lived here. It was called Holton Plains Apartments. But we used to take and jump our bikes over the speed bumps and see how far we could get, like what kind of air we could get off the speed bumps. And we would try to jump over, not really each other, because we would never make it that high, but kind of, we would try to like jump over random things. And we would put like our toys on the ground, like our toy trucks and our toy cars, and we would try to jump over them. And we would try to bunny hop the corners, and I actually blew it. The funny story about it is 2 things that come back to get me was when I was riding my bike, trying to do stunts, as they call them, on our bikes. Was like, I tried to jump over a bunch of cars on we put a little, like our Hot Wheel cars or something on the road. We were going to jump over them. And my friend goes, "Hey, you should try to do it on your pegs. While you're standing on your pegs, bunny hop over them on your pegs." And I said, "Oh, I can do that, no problem." And I did, and I slipped off my pegs, and I landed on my knee behind my bike, and I didn't let go of the handlebars. I held on to it, and my bike actually drug me down the road. And I grinded a big old hole, which I still have the scar for. I'll have to show you later. But I still have the scar for my off my knee, where I drug the skin off my knee. Do it that almost down to the bone. It was bad. Just a big hole. It was like that big around, and that was not fun. I couldn't walk for like very good for like 3 months because it was like a giant scab on my knee. And every time I would move, it would like rip open and start bleeding. It was nasty. But I just wanted to tell you, it's funny. I'll show you the speed bumps, but we'll throw this in there, and I'm going to go ahead and drive down and go to the middle school and show you where the middle school is. I'll see you in a little bit. So this is probably going to end up being a ridiculously long video, but I had to come back and show you something else because this is kind of nostalgia too. I was just driving along and on the way to the school, and I realized that I was on this road. And so this white house here on the corner, that one, was where another friend of ours, which it looks empty now, another friend of ours' mom lived, which was the 9-year-old that lived in the apartments. It was his cousin that lived there. And the camera never does the hills justice, but this hill, the huge hills that down here, and this is brick road, and it always has been brick road. And so we would ride our bikes down the brick road as fast as we could. And then right about here, we would lock our brakes up and see how far we could slide down the hill. And whoever could slide the farthest won. It was like a game. And it was kind of fun. So, but we didn't know at the time, because we were young, we were like 10, I was 13, so I should have known better. But everybody else was like 10. That we were actually like destroying our bike tires, and then I had to get a new bike tire because my tube popped through the rubber, and I got in trouble. But then I got a new bike tire that on my Mongoose, and it was like a different type of tread. We ordered it or got it at Walmart back when you could actually buy stuff at Walmart, and it was a different style tread. So it actually made squealing noises when you would lock it up on pavement. And so then I would go around and lock up my tire all the time to hear it squeal like a car doing a burnout. It was, and then I ended up tearing that tire up. And then after I tore that tire up, they wouldn't buy me a new one. So I rode around with a little hole in my tire for a while. But I missed the school, by the way. This will be the same video. I'll just turn around. I went around the block here. I really shouldn't record when you're driving. I know. I don't care. There's no one in this town to run into. The wind's probably horrible, though. I didn't think about that. Let me roll the window up a little bit. Not all the way. Holy crap. Oh, well, I got the air on. Anyway, let's go down here. Let's go. Sorry for the camera. Shaky camera guy syndrome here, but next one. The school was on 8th, not 9th. I used to walk to school sometimes. That's how I remembered that. And I'd walk straight down the road. Not really straight down the road, but like almost straight down the road. I'll show you the path that I walked after we get done with the school. They've changed the school some too, which is crazy. Here's another one of those hills, and then it goes right back up the other side there. So we'd come down this way and slide our tires all the way down and see who could go farther. And then we go all the way up to the top of the one we just went down and then turn around and do the same thing down the way back down. And my bike didn't have brakes on it because I took them off. So I actually had to stand up on my bike and put my foot on the back tire and lock the back tire up with my foot, with my shoe. And so that's how I could balance the bike better, because I was standing up. I would always win and everybody get mad, but I actually wore out like 2 pairs of shoes doing that as well, and I got in trouble for wearing the shoes out also. So all right, New York and 8th. Maybe the school is, but the school was on 9th. I'm sorry. Oh, my bad. I don't remember much. Oh, brick roads. Ooh, they're rough. Okay. So on the corner here is the high school. I did not go to the high school. I lived here during 7th and 8th grade, so I went to the middle school, which is down here. And their school's actually still in session here for another like 3-4 days, I think. Kyla's last day, my daughter, her last day is actually today. This is her last day of school. She gets out at 1 o'clock, so. Move out of the way, squirrels. But there's Holton Middle School right there. And I used to go to school here. And we used to walk down. These roads are ridiculously hilly. This is the gymnasium on this end here. And the basketball court back here, which is a parking lot too, because the school's hood, And then they have a track down here behind the high school. There's a little trailer park down here too that some people that we used to know lived in right there. There used to be more trailers than that there, but they're not there anymore. There's the football field. I used to walk down here and do stuff at the football field. They're mowing it right now, actually. There's the recycling deal. We used to do that too, what those kids are doing. We used to walk down that little concrete path there. Little drainage thing. Oh. Yeah, there's a little drainage deal. And then these are the stairs. There's stairs back to go up the back of the school here. And I hated these stairs. I fell down them like 3 times. It was horrible. But Yeah, those stairs there, I would fall down them. It was crazy. I fell down them several times. This whole thing up front here wasn't here when I was here either. This like driveway type, this little thing here was, I think, but maybe it was. I don't remember. I can't remember. But I would walk straight down this road, which is Iowa Street, by the way. And I'd leave school right out the front and right down the sidewalk. All the way down. This is going to be ridiculous. This is going to be like a 45-minute video. I'm sorry. Y'all are going to watch the whole thing anyway. But I used to walk straight down this road or ride my bike. Straight down this road. And then I go over just this path right here. Here's the last thing I'll show y'all, but and I'll end the video. But this road was the one I would go when I left school if I rode my bike. And I was 13 years old. So back then, you did that kind of stuff. Like nowadays, no one rides their bikes to school hardly ever at all. It's not a thing anymore. Everybody like rides their car or rides with their moms or their parents and drop them off, or they ride a bus or something. But back when I went to school, like buses weren't really an option for, especially in small towns. Like in Burlington they were, because the school was really well funded. And I don't think they were here actually. Maybe they were. Correct me if I'm wrong if you're from Holton. Back in the early 2000s, I don't think that school buses were available. We used to walk down here, and there's that's the fellowship hall. That's a church. I thought it was the library. It's not. And here comes the elementary school kids. Their little field trip today. But this was the road we would turn on, right here, and then it would take you down. It would take you down to the square, and it would take you down to the square. And there's Casey's on the corner too. We would go there all the time. That Casey's was actually there, and I was just seeing my phone case. But that Casey's was there, but back then, this was not though. I don't remember the bank. But the Casey's was there, and we would go to Casey's. But then this is what I would do. Like I would be on my bike, and we would ride our bikes to school. And so I'd go straight down the road there. And this is actually the road here that takes you to the high school. So I would ride either up that one, or I'd ride down the one we just drove by. And then I would come up here and ride my bike around the square, around the courthouse over there a couple of times. And then I would go, and then I would get on this road, which is Pennsylvania, and this takes you back to the apartments. So we'll go do that, and then we'll go back to the football field, and then we'll end the video. So then you have all these stores have changed. The only building up here that's like still the same is the auto part. There's a bumper to bumper there, and a Napa. And then right over here, I'll stop at the stop sign and show you. But right over here, where that blue truck is, or that black truck is, that's actually the paper office. And that's the reason why we lived in town, actually. When we moved here because my stepdad got a job at the paper office. And he printed papers. This was the health department back in the day. It probably still is the health department, I'm guessing. Yeah. Jackson County Health Department and Senior Center. That was the health department. There's a big church there. And then back down here at the end of the road is the apartment building / soccer field that we were just at. I gotta stop. Nope. We've got a yield sign, buddy. Don't got no brakes, I guess. But now we're right back to the apartments. And back to the soccer field. But yeah. Oh, and this is the thing I was talking about. Like, there used to be a huge, I'll show you real quick. Right here where the road's kind of flooded over, there's this little creek here, and it used to be way bigger. There used to be this huge tube under the road right here that we would actually go on that side, and then we would crawl under the road and play. That's kind of what we did there. We would go in there and go in the creek and play, and it was like a concrete type kind of deal. And we would play, and we would hide in there. That was one of the places we played hide and seek all over around here. But anyway, I think that's going to basically end this video. I just thought it'd be kind of fun to come down here and show y'all something about me that, you know, just kind of a vlog thing. That's kind of what you do on these kind of vlog channels, is kind of, you know, document or enjoy, like, you know, share stuff with people. This is kind of a regular style vlog that you would do, something, you know, from your childhood or whatever. And if y'all like it, let me know. I know it's a long video. If you managed to sit through it this long, I appreciate you. But let me know in the comments below if you do like it, because I could always go to Chanute and to Burlington and to the other places that I grew up, when I lived and I grew up, and show you the places I lived there, and the, you know, even in Leroy, I can show you the houses I lived in, or the, you know, when I was younger. But I will let y'all go. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I'm gonna have a drink of my what's now hot Diet Pepsi. If y'all, I've been checking out the gaming channel and the review channel. There's some new stuff on there, some shorts on there. There's some different content, some chugging content on the review channel, and on the gaming channel there's some Grand Theft Auto stuff and different things that I've posted. So go check those out. If you're just here for the vlogs, make sure you subscribe. And if y'all like it, this gets a good reaction, you know, a few views here and there, we'll make some more of them. So I hope y'all enjoyed. I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye, guys.